Right now, somewhere in your city, a used car dealer is selling a flooded vehicle with a clean title, a rolled-back odometer, a rebuilt wreck that looks factory fresh, and the buyer sitting across the desk has no idea. Neither did I, until I spent 15 years on the other side of it. Everything changes today. There is a device that costs $12 and reads every secret a used car is hiding. Not some of the secrets. Not the ones the dealer decides to share with you. All of them. The fault codes they erased the night before you came in. The mileage that was scrubbed from a display but is still stored, silently, in 4 different computers inside that car. The signs of a problem they hoped you'd never see until the warranty ran out and it became your problem. Professional buyers at wholesale auto auctions have carried this device since the early 2000s. Every single franchise dealership in America has one on a shelf in their service department right now. Insurance adjusters use it. Fleet managers use it. The people who buy and sell cars for a living, the people whose income depends on knowing more than you, they all use it. And for over 20 years, that world made sure you never heard its name. The used car market in the United States generates $147 billion a year. Just domestic dealers. Add the global market and you're looking at $1.9 trillion. A $12 device that strips away the information advantage they've spent decades building. That is not a product to celebrate. That is a threat to neutralize. So they buried it. Not by destroying it, by making sure it never showed up anywhere a regular buyer would look. They did not hide this device because it doesn't work. They hid it because it works too well. This is the story of the OBD2 scanner, and the specific trick inside it that dealers are most afraid you'll ever learn. You need to understand something first. What happens to most used car buyers is not an accident. It is not a series of unfortunate misunderstandings. It is the predictable outcome of a system that was designed, deliberately and carefully, to keep you uninformed. Let me give you the numbers. According to Carfax's most recent report, published December 2025, there are currently 2.45 million vehicles on American roads suspected of having rolled-back odometers. 2.45 million cars. And that number jumped 14% in a single year. Not 2%. Not 5%. 14%. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, the federal agency that tracks this, estimates that over 450,000 vehicles are sold every year with false odometer readings. Every year. And the average buyer who gets hit with odometer fraud loses $3,300 on that single transaction. You paid $3,300 more than the car was worth because someone spun back the numbers. That is the odometer fraud line item alone. Car scams across the board, including title washing, hidden damage, misrepresented condition, cost American consumers an estimated $30 billion a year. And here is what makes all of it possible. Information asymmetry. That phrase means one side of the table knows things the other side doesn't. In a used car transaction, the dealer knows the car's actual history, the auction sheet, what codes were present, what work was done or not done, how many miles were actually on it before they made a call. You know what they chose to show you on a printout. That gap between what they know and what you know is worth billions of dollars a year to this industry. They protect that gap jealously. In 2023, the Federal Trade Commission finalized something called the CARS rule, combating auto retail scams. It would have banned hidden junk fees, required honest pricing, and protected consumers from the most common dealer tactics. The FTC estimated it would have saved consumers $3.4 billion a year. The dealer lobby fought it in court and had it struck down in January 2025. The rule that would have protected you is dead. The practices it was meant to stop are alive. So understand what this video is. It is not a list of tips. It is the manual they buried. The information that closes the gap. And every tool I'm going to show you costs between $0 and $30. The OBD2 port. Every car manufactured and sold in the United States after 1996 has one. It sits under the driver's side dashboard, usually just above the pedal cluster. It is a 16-pin data port that gives direct access to every computer system in that vehicle. Engine, transmission, ABS, airbags, emissions. Mechanics plug into it to read fault codes. Dealers use it to diagnose problems. And for years, the industry assumed that regular buyers had no idea it existed, and no way to use it even if they did. They were right. Until now. Here's what you're going to do. Before you test drive a single car, You're going to spend $12 to $30 on a Bluetooth OBD2 dongle on Amazon. Search ELM327 OBD2 Bluetooth adapter. The $12 to $15 versions work. For about $28, you can get a VPeak OBD Check BLE Plus, which is more reliable. Then download a free app called Car Scanner ELM OBD2. It's available on iOS and Android at no cost. Or spend $4.99 on OBD Fusion, which gives you more detail. When you arrive at the dealer lot, before the handshake, before the test drive, before you let them see any enthusiasm, you ask to see the car. You lean in, plug that dongle into the port, turn the ignition to the ON position without starting the engine, pair your phone to it via Bluetooth, and open your app. Now navigate to the screen called IRM Readiness, or Readiness Monitors, or Smog Check Readiness. The app may label it differently. What you're looking at is a list of internal self-diagnostic tests the car runs while being driven. There are usually 8 to 11 of them. Catalyst, oxygen sensor, evaporative system, fuel system. Each one will show a status: ready, complete, or incomplete. Not ready. Here is what that means in plain language. When a dealer erases fault codes before a sale, and they do, they wipe the car's entire diagnostic memory. They have to, because if they erase individual codes and leave the rest, you might still notice something. So they do a full reset, which means every single readiness monitor goes back to incomplete. The car has to be driven 30, 40, sometimes 50 miles through specific speed cycles before those monitors reset to complete. A car sitting on a dealer lot does not get driven 50 miles through specific diagnostic drive cycles. It does not happen. So a car that had its codes recently wiped will show multiple monitors as incomplete, and you will see it on your phone screen in 30 seconds. That is not speculation. That is a digital confession sitting in the car's computer, waiting for someone with a $12 device to read it. 1 or 2 incomplete monitors can be normal. Emission systems sometimes need a drive cycle after a battery disconnect. That happens. 3 or more incomplete monitors. That car was wiped. Recently. And there was a reason. This single technique, IRM readiness monitoring, is the one dealers would most like to remove from this video, because it doesn't require any expertise. It doesn't require a mechanic. It requires a phone and a $30 piece of plastic, and it makes code erasure nearly impossible to hide. Also check the trouble code section in your app. These are active and pending fault codes that haven't been cleared yet. Write them down. Search the code on your phone. Decide if it's a $5 fix or a $5,000 conversation. People think digital odometers can't be rolled back. That is incorrect. Digital odometers can be reprogrammed. It requires equipment, some expertise, and an intention to commit a federal crime, but it happens. NHTSA says it's happening to 450,000 cars a year. It is a federal felony under the Odometer Act. Civil penalties of up to $10,000 per violation. Criminal penalties of up to $250,000 and 3 years in prison per count. None of that stops it. Here is what you need to know. The number on the dashboard is not the only place mileage is stored in a modern car. It's stored in multiple engine control units, the ECU, the transmission control module, the ABS module, the instrument cluster. Each one logs its own data independently. Rolling back the display odometer does not automatically rewrite every module. It takes additional steps, additional equipment, and dealers who roll back odometers don't always do those additional steps. There is a tool called the Kali OBD2 adapter. It costs around $80. The app subscription runs about $47 a year. It is specifically built to cross-check mileage stored across multiple control units and compare them to the displayed odometer. If those numbers don't match, if the engine control unit says the car has 112,000 miles on it and the dashboard says 67,000, the app flags it. But even without Kali, your free Carfax check will show chronological odometer readings from service history, title transfers, and inspection records. Pull the VIN from the driver's side door jamb. It's on a white sticker. Go to Carfax.com and run a free odometer check. Look for any mileage entry that is lower than a previous entry. That is a rollback, documented in writing, and it is your leverage. Consider what rollback actually costs you. A 2013 Toyota Camry with 200,000 miles on it is worth roughly $7,800. The same car at 100,000 miles is worth around $12,000. That $4,000 gap is exactly why someone buys a specialty laptop and commits a federal crime. They are making $4,000 per car. Before the next secret, and the next one is the one dealers are most afraid of, I want to tell you about something I put together for this community. Everything you've heard so far is the beginning. There are tools, checklists, negotiation scripts word for word, a complete red flag guide covering exterior, interior, mechanical, paperwork, and salesman behavior, all of it compiled into one document called the Used Car Buyer's Vault. Every free VIN check tool explains step by step the exact phrases to use when you walk into the finance and insurance office, the 72-hour rule script that kills manufactured urgency, a printable checklist you can take onto any dealer lot tomorrow. The link is in the description right now. But stay here, because what I'm about to show you next is the trick that changes everything about how you negotiate. There are 4 checks you run on any used car before you ever ask the price. All of them are free. Dealers know all 4 of them exist. They count on you not knowing. First, go to nick.org/vincheck, the National Insurance Crime Bureau. Enter the VIN. This tells you if the car has ever been reported stolen, declared a total loss, or flagged as salvage by an insurance company. Free. 30 seconds. Do it before you spend $1 on anything else. Second, go to vehiclehistoryreport.com. This is government-backed. It pulls from NMVTIR, the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System. It shows title brands, salvage, flood, junk, rebuilt. It covers roughly 96% of US vehicles. Free. This catches title washing, the practice of moving a flood-damaged or salvage-titled vehicle across state lines to obtain a clean title in a new state. Third, go to nhtsa.gov/recalls. Enter the VIN. This shows every open, unaddressed safety recall on that vehicle. Federal law does not require used car dealers to fix open recalls before selling you the car. That is not a loophole. That is the law. But an open recall is your negotiation weapon. Write it down. Fourth, the Carfax odometer check at carfax.com/odometer rollback. Limited but free. It screens for rollback flags before you spend $44 on a full report. Run these 4 checks on your phone while you're standing on the lot. They take less than 5 minutes combined. And they will occasionally stop you from making a $15,000 mistake before you ever sit down. This one costs nothing. It requires only that you show up without an appointment. Dealers warm up problem cars before buyer test drives. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is standard practice. An engine that has been running for 20 minutes before you climb in will idle smoothly, shift cleanly, and give you no sign of the cold start rough idle it throws every morning when an actual owner starts it. A transmission that slips slightly until it reaches operating temperature will feel perfectly smooth after it's been warmed up on the dealer's clock. So you show up unannounced. You ask to start the car from cold. The ignition has been off for at least several hours, ideally overnight. You do not let anyone warm it up for you. You turn the key. You watch. You listen. A healthy engine starts immediately and settles into a smooth idle within 30 seconds. Rough idle that persists past a minute. Pay attention. You watch the exhaust at startup. A brief puff of white vapor on a cold morning is condensation. That's normal. Blue smoke means oil burn. You make a note. You feel the first gear engagement. Cold transmission behavior tells you more about that transmission than a 50-mile highway test drive at operating temperature. Any salesperson who tells you they need to pull the car around first, or who asks you to wait while they get it ready, is warming it up. That is the tell. Any car they want to prepare before you touch it is a car they do not want you to cold start. You already ran the NHTSA recall check. Now here's how you use it. Open recalls on a used vehicle are a documented defect that the manufacturer has acknowledged and has a legal obligation to fix, at no cost to the owner, at any franchise dealer. The recall exists. The repair exists. The part is waiting. And the seller is not required to fix it before transferring ownership to you. That creates leverage. The moment you find an open recall, you present it. Not aggressively. Calmly. You say, I see there's an open recall on this vehicle. I'm going to need to factor in the time to get that addressed before this car is actually road ready for me. I'd like to see that reflected in the price. Most buyers never look. Most buyers never ask. The ones who do ask almost always get a concession, because the dealer knows they can't deny it. It's documented by the federal government. This move alone, used consistently, will save you money on nearly every used car purchase. Not because every car has a dangerous recall, but because this level of preparation signals something to the dealer. It signals that you are not the buyer they were expecting. And that changes everything about how they negotiate with you. Let me tell you what just happened. You walked into this video as a regular consumer, the kind of person the used car industry was designed to transact with. Someone who trusts the salesman's word, skips the inspection, takes the number on the sticker as a starting point for a negotiation they never had a chance of winning. You are leaving this video as something different. You have a $12 scanner that reads the hidden confession in any car's computer before the test drive. You have the cold start test that bypasses the preparation they do every morning before buyers arrive. You have 4 free VIN checks that screen for flood damage, theft history, and title washing in under 5 minutes. You have the recall lookup that hands you documented federal leverage for every price negotiation. And you have the knowledge of what those readiness monitors mean, which is the one thing that makes erasing fault codes a move that backfires. The next time you walk onto a dealer lot, you will know more about that car than the salesman standing next to it. Not because you're a mechanic, not because you spent years in the industry, because you spent 15 minutes with this information. And you will carry yourself differently. You will ask different questions. You will pause in different places. Dealers have a name for this type of buyer. They call them difficult. What they mean is informed. That $12 scanner sitting in your glove box just closed the gap they've been protecting for 20 years. That $30 investment in knowing the truth about a car is worth more, on a single transaction, than most people's annual raise. The information was never gone. It was just priced out of your awareness. Not anymore. Someone you know is about to buy a used car. This week. This month. Maybe your brother. A coworker. A neighbor who is about to sit down at a desk and trust a stranger with $15,000 and a signature. They don't know any of this. You can change that with one share.